Lawmaking. Statutory interpretation. 1. The literal rule. Once Parliament has passed an act, it then falls to the courts to apply the statute in a particular case. This can lead to difficulties where the facts of the case may not have been envisaged by Parliament, or where there exist drafting errors or ambiguity in the statute. The Interpretation Act of 1978 provides some guidance with certain basic definitions, such as singular includes plural and he includes she. The courts have developed rules to assist judges in interpreting statutes. The rules of statutory interpretation are: 1. The literal rule. 2. The golden rule. 3. The mischief rule. Additionally, there is the purposive approach. Although referred to as rules, they are not strictly binding. Some commentators have argued that they are used to justify a decision rather than assisting the decision-making process. This video will focus on explaining the literal rule. Look out for other videos in this series explaining the other rules. There are also videos discussing the advantages and disadvantages of each rule. Judges are assisted by various aids to interpretation. These can be internal aids or external aids. Look out for videos on these too. The literal rule. Under the literal rule, the words of the statute are given their natural or ordinary meaning. They are applied without the judge seeking to put a gloss on the words or seek to make sense of the statute. Consequently, its application can give some odd results. The literal rule of statutory interpretation should be the first rule applied by judges. The literal rule was established in R. v. Harris, 1836. Prior to this, the mischief rule was applied to determine the meaning of a statute. The mischief rule was considered too lax at a time when Parliament was becoming a more significant force in lawmaking. With the rise in suffrage, Parliament was establishing itself as the supreme lawmaker. Judges have no democratic mandate to make the law. Under the doctrine of the separation of powers, Montesquieu, Spirit of the Laws, 1748, it is considered they should exactly apply the words made by Parliament, even if this makes a nonsense of the law. If Parliament makes an error, it is up to Parliament, not the judges, to correct it. This can be seen in R. v. Harris. The defendant bit off the victim's nose. The statute made it an offense to stab, cut, or wound. The court held that under the literal rule, the act of biting did not come within the wording of the statute. The defendant's conviction was quashed. Following this case, Parliament passed the Offences Against the Person Act 1861, which clarified the meaning of wounding in sections 18 and 20. In Cheeseman v. DPP, the defendant had been caught masturbating in a public lavatory. He was charged under Section 28 of the Town Police Clauses Act 1847, which made it an offence to expose oneself to the annoyance of residents or passengers. The court used a dictionary from the time the statute was made to determine the meaning of passenger. This simply meant passerby. Consequently, the defendant was acquitted. He had exposed himself to the police, who were waiting to catch him so they were not passing by. Another example of the literal rule is Fisher v. Bell. The defendant had a flick knife displayed in his shop window with a price tag on it. A statute made it a criminal offense to offer such flick knives for sale. His conviction was quashed, as goods on display in shops are not offers, in the technical sense, but an invitation to treat. A further illustration is the case of Whiteley v. Chappell. A statute made it an offense to impersonate any person entitled to vote. The defendant used the vote of a dead man. The statute relating to voting rights required a person to be living in order to be entitled to vote. Consequently, the defendant was not liable under the literal rule. In London and North Eastern Railway v. Berriman, a railway worker was killed whilst oiling the train track. No lookout man had been provided. A statute provided compensation was payable on death for those relaying or repairing the track. Under the literal rule, oiling did not come into either of these categories. Consequently, his widow was not entitled to compensation. In summary, the literal rule is one of three rules used by judges to interpret statutes. It should be the first rule applied. The literal rule is where the words are interpreted strictly according to their ordinary or natural meaning. This may lead to some odd results. This video is part of a series of videos on law from www.e-lawresources.co.uk. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel www.youtube.com/e-lawresources. It's free to do so and will help us to keep providing these videos. Check out our website, which provides lecture outlines and case summaries. See also www.e-lawrevision.org.uk for revision games and quizzes. Thanks for watching.